in the school, and I would just write. I was just writing poetry. And Albert Hernandez hooked me up with my mentor, who is my father these days. Abia doing Oye Wole from the Last Poets. And
No
he came
shit.
to my school to teach poetry. And from sixth grade up until last week, I've talked to him almost every week, you know what I mean? Or if not every other week of my life. He mentored me from there to the point where I was so in tune with words and literature and how to learn that I was able to skip seventh grade.
I'll
So
be,
me and Jessica actually was in the eighth grade together. So,
I'll
you know what I
be,
mean?
I'll be part of the reason why I wanted you to sit down with Holden is because you have such a rich uh, history, family, um, role models that you had around you from young, that they saw something special in you, and you need to now educate the world, right? Like, let's pretend people don't know who the last poets are, and
Yeah,
let's
the
give
lot.
them a little bit
Mm.
of an
Even
education.
even I'm kind of guilty there because I know who the last poets are, and I missed that one. Good call, Flacco.
Yeah, well, the last poets are essentially the ones who created rap. There were no there were no poets doing poetry over drums. That didn't exist. People would read their poem, they get their glasses and have a stand and recite literature. The last poets are the first poets to do poetry over the drum, and to have Felipe, who was a Puerto Rican man in the group, and never really called him a Puerto Rican poet. He was just a poet.
Right.
And Umar, Abiadun, which is my pops, and Babatunde, which is the drummer, um, and uh, uh, and there were two other members as well, and they were the first poets to do poetry over drums, and they gave us poets like "When the Revolution Comes," which was a really big piece back in those days. When the revolution comes, niggas would be party and bullshit and party and bullshit. Later, that becomes Biggie's first ever single that he put out into the ether of the world. So the last poets were literally our origin. Ironically, they're the last poets and they were the first. But yeah, I was able to be at his house every Sunday. He would cook for all the poets in the community and just taught me how to be a better
Wow.
writer and a better man.
So yo, you know what's also doubly important about what you're saying there is it shows the power of the other side of the coin. What happens when you choose to take your skills as somebody maybe on the older side of the spectrum and give back to the youth and to take your time and your talent and to share that knowledge with people and to make sure that like that's the bigger knowledge nugget to me. You benefited from this, but look at your life and look what you gained from the interest of somebody taking and looking for you, and making sure that you got that support that you needed. So thank you so much for sharing that because I think that is a crazy big one.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, if we close our eyes and really meditate on it, I think a lot of us will see angels that came along in our childhood. It's just maybe we didn't take them seriously or take them on,
Mm, I
you
like how
know?
you said
And
that.
I did. That's all. I just took advantage of the angels that were there for me.
That's a beautiful way to put it. So during this basketball phase of your life that you blitzed through earlier, are you also doing the rapping thing, the poetry thing? Are you still
Yeah, just the
pursuing?
poetry, just being a poet, but not really telling anybody it wasn't cool to be a poet. So,
All right.
um, it
So
wasn't cool.
yeah, I appreciate that too. I feel like poetry still is on its way to coolerness. Like people don't necessarily reckon it's not like where it's at it should be in terms of cool points. Like I feel like it's still on its way there. I love poetry. I think it's like an amazing thing. I mean, you look at so many great artists and they like I don't know how many people have actually looked at Tupac's poetry book, but it's an insanely beautiful piece of words put together. Like a friend of mine recently released a poetry book, but I don't feel like these things get like the love of most other things from my purview. Maybe my purview is limited, but that's why I expressed the idea. I saw some confusion in
Shouts
your
to
face.
shouts to Dama Nails. Anytime I see her face, or if I see something that says Dama, I say shout outs to Dama Nails. No matter where I am, you are so beautiful and so amazing and so rich in talent. I could talk to you for hours. But go
Shouts
ahead,
to
brother. I'm sorry.
Domino.
Go ahead. Hold it.
That's a sister to the show. That's
Oh man, she's
family for
everything.
life.
Yeah, she's
That
wonderful.
is that's somebody I'll bleed for. Facts. Shouts to Dom.
Love y'all, man. Love y'all. Love y'all.
1000%. You know what Dama has that not too many rappers have, let alone female rappers. Which I always thought she could even name her album was Audacity.
I
Like
agree.
she has the
That's
she has
facts.
the fucking audacity to like whatever's in that brain is going to come out. You know what I mean? And I love that she has such a I don't love that she has a dark past, but she has such a dark past that gives her this edge of I've seen everything. You know what I mean? And she has the audacity to let you know. So really
Facts.
quick break on
Big,
giving
big
her
facts.
flowers because I
Big
love
big
her so much.
fact.
And in
Big
case
fact.
y'all
She's gonna be
are,
on the show soon.
yeah, I was about to say, like,
We're
yo,
gonna have
you're
her on the
setting
show
us up
soon.
right now. That's some fucking 2 Saturdays from now shit is going to be Dama, and then her album's also dropping on fucking Valentine's Day. And it's
The single's dropping on
The
Valentine's.
singles dropping, my bad. Whatever. The stuff's coming. It's going to be Fuegos. I haven't prepped for that yet. That's prepping. I was busy with Albe Back this week. But yo, straight up, she's incredible.